Frank Knoll. I would love to know Rip Rogers' thoughts on his time in Portland, Oregon area. Arguably, that was one of the heydays of the Portland area with Rip, Piper, Rick Martel, Ron/Sam Oliver Bass, Dutch Savage, Buddy Rose, and several others. Now, you said you worked with Buddy Rose as your
buddy,
tag.
I was tag team partners when I come out there because Ed Wiskowski he had nut surgery. so
what?
So Ed was out for a while.
What, like vasectomy, or he had to have his balls drained or something?
Whatever it was, I didn't really inquire. I wanted a younger, more attractive man. Ed was a little bit older. I wasn't into the mature males at that time. So Buddy was so good. Called in the ring. They actually, for about 9 years, they booked the territory around him as a heel. He was over as a heel so much, they had to turn Roddy Piper babyface. And then him and Buddy had the greatest feud they ever had out there. And then, Rick Martel was out there when I was there, Rotten Ron Starr, Adrian Adonis. Adrian wasn't very nice. Adrian was sort of a bully. But Piper was out there, and then Ed come back the second time I was out there. And, the Bushwhackers.
Yes.
The Bushwhackers were there. Yeah. So in every trip, it was me, Buddy, and the two Bushwhackers. There's Butch and Luke. They either got the marijuana cookies or they're smoking the Bob Hope, the dope on the way back. Never on the way there, but always on the way back. Me and Buddy would be in the back. We'd have the mason jars, and I'd let's say I poop-a-looched in a mason jar. So, and they'd be saying, and I'd put it in back of Luke or Butch's head. I go, fuck, who farted there? Who farted? Who apple-tarded farted? And so they're just screaming, and Buddy's just laughing. And every time we'd have a show, like if we go to Wendy's, Buddy always bought everybody's food. That's how cool Buddy Rose was. And he lived with two girls.
Oh, yeah?
And when I walked in to his place, he had 3 dogs, Pepper, Pretzel, and Pebbles. 3, what do you call them, dash hounds, weenie dogs or whatever.
Yeah, sausage dogs. They'd
almost eat you up, but he'd get on them, and then they would be cool. But I walked in there, and Buddy had one of those. This is when the big VCRs were coming out. And the huge ass fucking TVs that was like a movie screen or whatever. And Buddy had all of his matches on tape. So as soon as I went back to Lexington, I got me the VCR and I had all my stuff in tape. So I had basically everything almost since I started until I quit. Then I go to Cauliflower Alley Club. All of a sudden my sump pump don't work in my basement. Everything I had, every picture, every tape, all gone.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Wow. Because I went to Cauliflower. You know what I mean?
So was that like home, all ICW, all the Poffo territory stuff?
Oh, this is so
little footage.
This is everything. Sometimes I'll have, there was one box it was in, and we'll have some old tapes in there. But what it is I forgot I had those. And they were like extra ones up in on the closet or whatever.
That is a
a lot of times we'll play some of that old, like we had John Cena winning the Battle Royal and Vaughn Lilas beating John Cena, stuff like that. But we got them and we play them on our YouTube channel, Wrestling with Rip Rogers. So subscribe, everybody, right now. Everybody subscribe right now. That's what James says to do.
Yeah, I'm telling you, do it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. But Portland was such a great, and then Piper would wind you up. He was the king. Whenever he was late, he'd always come in with he'd have something, he'd be bringing in some oily part. Oh, I tried to get here, but I broke down. I had to do this. And he'd have, he'd be ribbing Elton Owen. So he put me through the things with Elton. Because Elton would they'd do the 1 minute shoots there. Mm-hmm. And you might get up to $100 versus $50 for the loser. And Elton be saying, "You go, Rip. You got the shoot with Matt Bourne. You know he's a great amateur." So I wanted to string it all out. You know, where I almost beat Matt. We were always nothing. And the son of a bitch went out there and pretty much just ate me up and killed me in about 20 seconds. And Elton says, I was waiting on that for nothing. Because Matt was real green then.
Did you get to the point where, like, because I think I've heard this story or a version of it where, like, he'd pay to do the shoots, and then obviously the wrestlers would start realizing, and then
No, we always worked.
Yeah.
As soon as you got in there, you were immediately smartened up to the 1 minute shoots.
Yeah.
Immediately. So if you were an amateur, you wanted to wait and wait and wait, because Elton, he wouldn't give a shit about the matches. Then he'd walk up there with a big old cigar. He'd be getting right up there by the ring and almost sticking his head in there. He wanted to see it so bad. Then all of a sudden, after the 1 minute shoot, he'd go, shit, there wasn't no winner, right? And he'd walk off. Then the boys back up. Then they start working like this, working with the Markets of Queensberry rules or whatever.
Because we mentioned Buddy, Playboy Buddy as well, and who else to ask as far as who's got the psychology as a wrestler? Because obviously you look at him, he looked like shit. I mean, that was almost the character.
That was later on. He looked like shit.
But
when he was about 228 to 232, he actually was beating me in the 40-yard dash.
Really?
He could do one-arm push-ups even when he was really heavy. He was just a natural athlete. He was a hockey player, and he quit school. And he was a ring boy for Vern Gagne. And then he was going in Gagne's camps with like Steamboat and all those guys. And they just beat the shit out of Buddy, beat the shit out of him. Because Vern Gagne would have in all these high-dollar real athletes, NFL guys that got cut and stuff. And then Buddy couldn't take it, so he quit. Wahoo said, "What'd you do?" He says, "I quit." Then Wahoo smartened him up. He said, "Buddy, I'll make sure you get another chance. Next year, just gut it out. Just gut it out. Then they will teach you after they weed all the bad ones out." And that's what happened. And then Buddy was a natural.
With Buddy,
he could do cartwheels, and he was just, people hated him. But when he turned babyface, they all stormed the fucking ring. They had about 100 people in that ring, all kids, and it was all Buddy. Buddy's one of the funniest guys you would ever want to meet.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about Buddy. As a talent, as a person.
Yeah.
And there's only certain people who, like, I sort of equate him in my mind to Adrian Adonis when he started putting on a lot of weight in maybe the late 80s, yet could still do all the same stuff. The Ray Stevens over the ropes, the whole bit.
Adrian Adonis I seen my first hangman bump with Adrian Adonis.
Really?
And he could tie himself in all different ways. And he was a great worker. But I was green compared to him, and he'd just eat me up and call stuff in the ring. And then Piper got on him. He said, "No, he needs to learn to call this." So Adrian just he idolized Roddy, which we all did. So what Roddy said, that's the way it was. And then Adrian wasn't as mean to me as he was, because he was just sort of like a Eddie Haskell. If you're old enough to know who he was, just Adrian Adonis was a real man, and he was a tough guy too. But most of the wrestling business is all tough guys. I'm not a tough guy. Your grandma could beat me, but I'm a good performer, and I just love to perform.